What's up, amigos? Coming to Jaime here today. So we got the locations announced for the Bushiroad Springfest 2022. So today, in this video, I'm going to cover what to expect and also some of the locations and things that we have to consider as players going into these events real quick. It's going to be a high level too, so what we know up to this date, and then we'll go from there. So let's get right into it. Next Level Gaming has the new playmats already out for we have Bruce versus Bastion over here. Really amazing artwork, so I highly recommend. We also have the Vanguard Valentine's one, so if you're into like Angel Feather, for example, this would be perfect as well. And in the future coming out, we'll have something with Zorga versus Seraph Snow, so I'm excited for that one too. I'm gonna actually get that one myself too, so you can check out the affiliated link down in the description below and also get a 10% discount on your next purchase. So right off the back, we got some of the locations to announce, and one of the biggest things to keep in mind is that COVID-19 is still a thing. We are in the middle of a pandemic, so be conscious of that too. So some of you may be disappointed because there's only so many locations, especially in the US. As you can see here, we have like California, for example, Illinois, New Jersey, and Texas, and that's it. So people that are in the US, we actually have typically more events throughout the country too. And as you can see, they picked strategically some of these places too. So California is in the West Coast, Illinois is more of the North Midwest, New Jersey is East Coast, and of course Texas is South. So it's pretty much the four corners of the states, literally. One of the things that they'll look into is probably add more locations as we go, but keep in mind that they might even change them. Some places are a little more stricter in COVID things. So for example, they may be asking for mask and verification cards. Some places don't even ask that anymore. So it's just be conscious of where you're going to if that's a concern, but also just what to expect to. And so literally there are people on one side of the spectrum, they're like, yeah, that's pretty normal, like you have your mask and your verification card. And then there's people on the other side of the spectrum who's like, wait, that's still a thing. And so really I just want people to know that what to expect in this. And so a big one is Illinois, for example. Here in the Chicagoland area, it is pretty strict. So some restaurants and even some venues are really enforcing that. So expect to even get checked for a verification card at that point too, if you do plan to travel to Illinois, for example. But I would recommend also staying in touch with this page as they update and announce the venues too, because as you can see, it's still pretty much to be determined at this point too. But I wanted to start out with that too, and then going into more of like the Europe area, we have Belgium, Germany, France, Hungary, Spain, UK, and some of these locations have already been specified for the UK, which I'm impressed actually. And also keep in mind that some of these places might have actually limits on how many people can be at the venue too. So not necessarily the amount of like tournament structure that Bushiroad has, but there might be a limit to the people too as well. So it's just at the same time, they're trying to keep people safe while having fun in that sense. So that's really what the intent is there. So definitely be conscious of that as well. And hopefully they'll be having more, because I know Europe is a lot more bigger in terms of like traveling and stuff. So that might be, or it might be the same as the US states. I'm not too sure, but it's just like they're in different countries technically. So I don't know how challenging that may be for players. And then Asia, Oceania, they have Malaysia and Australia. So as you can see, some of these events are going from April to June, so just keep looking out which event you're going to, and then maybe there might be an event that goes up close. I know I have some good amigos that are already thinking about like actually taking flights or traveling on the road, booking hotels and things like that. So just be conscientious of like just be looking out for these things, because you just never know, they could change at this point. If we look back in history, back in 2 years ago, pretty much 2020, the Bushiroad events, only a few actually got to be played, and then by the time it got to like the Chicago time, they actually closed down for the lockdown for the pandemic in a sense. Now I'm not saying that they're gonna do that again, but it's just, be conscious of that too at that point. I wonder if they'll convert this into a virtual event at that point, which they've done successfully, in my opinion, in that sense. So I wouldn't be surprised. And I think another thing that may be helpful for Bushiroad, I'm not sure if they are talking about it or have discussed it, but maybe some pre-registration, similar to what they did with the online events, so they actually can guess how many people are expected to show up, and then at the same time they can properly regulate that for people, especially if some people are paying for travel expenses. I mean, hotels, flights, gas money, food, all that stuff ain't cheap in that sense. And so a lot of people tend to like split that, especially in this event, which leads me to the next thing, which is the regulation. And the regulation, so for those that don't know, it's actually a team league, and so that's why the 3 players get to play on the same team. And what's one of the biggest rules that people always ask, like, do I have to play a different clan? And it's a little more diverse now because of different formats. So they worded it in such a way where all 3 players must be playing a different grade 3 unit, clan, or title from their teammates. And so they give examples, which is very helpful in that sense. So like, for example, in the standard format, we have Dark States. So we have Bruce, we have Barrel Magnus, and a Greedon player. That's okay. So all 3 of you can be playing Dark States, as long as you're playing the 3 different grade 3s that typically people would play, but as long as they're different at that point. That's the key factor. Now, if you have 2 players that are trying to play Bruce, that is not okay. Right? So very simple as that. And then you go to like V Premium, you see clans, right? So Pale Moon, Kagero, Granblue, okay in that sense. But if 2 people play Kagero, not okay. And then, of course, you got the special ones like the collabs. You got Attack on Titan, Persona 5, Bang Dream. That's okay. But then if both of you play Bang Dream, for example, not okay in that sense. So that's really the format to look out and what to expect. All of these players will be playing one best out of once. And basically, all the wins added up will count to your team score. So essentially, 2 out of the 3 players must win in order to win that round, essentially, to move on to the next round. And each round, especially for all 3 formats, for Vanguard specifically, we have 30-minute rounds, best of Swiss in essence, best of 1 in Swiss, right? And so if you do lose, you can still get to play the rest of the tournament. Your final record would determine to see if you get to the cut to top 8 in a sense, which leads me into the top 8 part. So they will cap it at 9 rounds. So depending on the numbers of that too, they won't accept any more players in that sense. And then if they only cut to top 8, it may be a little bit challenging to get to top 8. I know in one of the events that recently happened with, I think the standard format, they did a top 16, which I think was a great idea. So that way people can get a chance to get to top cut in that sense and be able to get a chance even with a decent record, like an X2 record, for example. When you have so many people and you're trying to squeeze into top 8, it could be challenging if you basically have to be undefeated or you only have 1 loss with a good tiebreaker in that sense. So those are things in my experience that are just coming into mind in a sense too. And so for those competitive players are probably wondering, like, are the prizes announced? The answer is not. They're still figuring that out. I'm interested in when they did. I know last time they actually did the Overlord card for the event for premium. I know, so I got 2 of them because I got second in the Springfest one. So I thought that was really cool, just having an actual like super shiny version of a card in that sense too. But some places have done trophies too, so you just never know. Especially with COVID, I'm sure they'll be mindful of the price according to what's going on in the real world. And so just to sum it up, you know, I still highly recommend playtesting with your amigos, especially if you're trying to form a solid team. Definitely playtest in this sense, because you never know. You might as well be prepared going into the event, of course. Not saying that they're going to get canceled or anything, but just be mindful of that. But at the same time, do your best to have fun, you know. We are in the middle of a COVID situation, so some people might be a little bit anxious or might be stressful, or even the judges or people running an event, so be patient with them too if you do plan on participating and going in person yourself. So have a lot of patience too, and have a lot of respect with players and of course the people that work there too, making this happen in the first place. So I'm excited to see how this turns out, and at the same time looking forward to the next top 8s and seeing the results that comes from it too as well. So until the next one, amigos, if you like the video, give it a like, comment down below. What are your thoughts? You know, what are your suggestions to the format too as well? And also, like, what are your just thoughts overall in a sense? I'd love to hear that too. And if you'd like to share with amigo, go ahead and subscribe. See you, amigos. Bye.